Welcome back. Today we're with Thom Bulman, Bull Airs, one of Rob's longtime friends. So, Rob, I'm going to kick it over to you for an introduction.
Yep. So, real quick before I hand it over, you might think, wait a minute, Nick sounds like he's living in some kind of fish tank or tin can. No, it's not that bad. I'm just messing with Nick. Nick, yeah. Where are you before we introduce our guest? Where are you right now?
I'm sitting in Kidani Village in the little lobby, like vestibule thing off of the lobby and just chilling, just hanging out.
Where is Kidani Village?
Oh, that's the Animal Kingdom Lodge. I am in Disney World. I did not plan on recording an episode down here, but this is awesome. I'm glad I get to.
So, folks, if we lose Nick for any reason, he'll pop right back in. Honestly, it was going to be kind of a solo endeavor, and I wasn't sure if we were going to get Nick, but I'm glad that we did. So today's guest, I have known, holy cow, 23, 25 years, something like that. I've known this guest for a long, long time, and we used to play in bands together, and then his career took some very, very interesting turns that we're about to talk about right now. But the interesting thing that I'm going to kind of start with a little bit of a spoiler, because that's what I'm known for, is that Thom has not been to Walt Disney World. Thom, welcome to the show.
Hey, yeah. I mean, I love that introduction. Yeah, we have known each other a long, long time. Definitely, and the fact that I've never been to Walt Disney World is an embarrassing fact for somebody that's as ingrained with pop culture as me. So, I said that to you like with like a quiet don't tell too many people, but then I'm on a podcast where we're literally saying this guy's never been to Walt Disney World. But I thought it would be a great.
It's a good selling point.
It would be a great episode to be like, hey, we have a guy that's never been to Walt Disney World, hasn't taken his kids. You know, what does he need to know? What are the do's and don'ts? What are the hidden secrets that you guys, figured out and would have told younger yous on your first time,
Right. So I want to start at the beginning.
Agree.
I don't want to do too much origin story here, but first question is, I know you're from Western New York. You're from the Rochester area. And I don't remember what high school you went to. I know you've told me at some point, but
I wasn't far from you because you were out of either, was it Newark or Lyons?
Newark.
So I'm from Williamson, New York.
That's right.
We're Wayne County boys over here.
Right.
Marauders, right?
Yes.
Yep.
That's
exactly.
Right. So then, that's kind of shortly after that is when Thom and I got to know each other. We were both playing in bands around the Rochester area. Quick side note, and I don't want to spend too much time on this, but very excited that Thom's old band and my current band are going to be playing a show together in September. Hopefully, Nick, you'll be there too. We'll talk about
selling
that
merch.
more.
I'll be slinging some merch.
Yeah,
I'll be jumping on the bass for one song for that.
Cool.
So that'll be fun. Yeah.
And we'll talk about your current business in a little bit. I don't want to give that spoiler away yet, but is there any chance you might be setting up a merch table?
I haven't really thought about it, but maybe. Who knows?
Okay, good.
I'm always down for business opportunities. So
good. Yeah. I'm glad I planted that seed. So
there we go.
I'm going to skip ahead a little quicker just because I want to get to all the good stuff. But let's see, on the Paramount Network, it's currently on. There is a TV show that I've seen every episode of and every season of, and that TV show is called Ink Master. So if you are a fan of tattoos or tattoo culture, I would recommend checking out this show. And probably, what year was it? Give me the year first, and then I'll have you.
The year I was on?
Yeah.
2016, I think. 16 or 17. Season 9.
So around that point, I remember talking to you and hearing that you were going to be on Ink Master. And I was so excited because Thom is a tattoo artist. He's a fantastic tattoo artist, and shockingly, haven't been tattooed by you yet. But I have a plan. You're going to do an Achilles bird. You're going to put the Achilles bird on me. I got a plan for it.
I have an Achilles. I have the Achilles tattoo, right?
He does. So Thom has a tattoo
right there
of my band's logo right on him. Pretty awesome.
In podcast world, but it's on my shin.
That's cool. That is very cool. There's been a couple people through the years who have gotten tattoos of my previous band called Achilles, which is kind of
Yep,
cool. So
great.
Thom was on Ink Master. It was great. You made it pretty far. You went about halfway, a little closer to the end. What do you remember? How close you got to
Out
the
of
end?
14 episodes, I made it to episode 10. So
That's
pretty
awesome.
pretty far.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
That's great.
Yeah.
And another quick aside is one of our students. You and I talked about Thom. You remember this story?
Oh, I remember.
Because
She called me. You
Yeah.
go ahead and you tell yours, and I'll tell my story.
Well, I got in contact with Thom because we had a student who is a really good tattoo artist, and I said we got to get her on the show, and Thom made it happen.
Yeah, I mean, I ended up giving her a phone call, talking to her about it. I said, listen, it's a great opportunity. You know, even if you make it one episode, that's 8 million people that watch every single episode every week, and it's going to be in syndication. I still get people that, you know, my season is just making it to India right now. So I'm getting a lot of Indian people that are hitting me up saying, hey, I just watched your episode. I mean, it takes, you know, years for these episodes or seasons to go around the world. So
Wow.
I said, if anything, you do one episode, you're still going to be able to go to conventions for free. And it's just great for marketing and promoting and stuff like that. So I think I put her mind at ease, and obviously she's an amazing talent. She went on there and she won the damn thing. So I hate her a little bit for that, but she's an amazing artist. So
she's a great person too. She really is.
Let's talk about your tattoos and your tattoo style. Now, you've become really popular for doing. It's called New School. Is that correct? Is that the name of the style that you became really famous for?
Yeah, it was. You know, I kind of did everything as I was. I mean, now I'm at year 19 or something like that of tattooing. I don't tattoo as much anymore, and we'll get into that a little bit later. But 19 years. But I would say the first 8 years, I was doing everything under the sun. I was doing traditional. I was doing, you know, black and gray. I was doing geometric. You know, you gotta do everything to find out the one thing that you really like, and you know, and it really hones your skill because you're able to do every single thing, and then kind of go, okay, I really like this. So around year 9 or 10, I kind of started focusing on the new school, you know, twisted proportions and kind of fun cartoony stuff, and eventually, like towards the, you know, the last 15, 16, 17 year of doing that, I became into what we were calling a tattoons, and those were like hyper realistic ish caricatures with like a new school element. So it was kind of like a hybrid, but it was really fun. There's only a handful of us that do it in the country, so I always like that. I always like to have my little niche market where I kind of, you know, take my little spot and kind of own it and stuff like that. So it was definitely fun.
That's great. So then you tattooed for, I don't want to get too off on the timeline. Let me ask you this. When did you start your new venture? And then I want to get into that a little bit more. I haven't revealed it yet.
Yeah, I mean, I started tattooing in 2008, and then in 2000, I'm trying to think what year. What year did the pandemic hit? Was that
2020?
Yeah.
Yeah. So when the pandemic hit is when we couldn't tattoo, and it was the first time in, you know, freaking 12 years I wasn't able to tattoo, and that was at the point where I was like, hey, I got to do something else. Tried selling some of my art online. You know, it doesn't make as much as, you know, a tattoo artist makes. So at that point, a friend of mine kind of convinced me to get into, you know, taking his course to do custom shoemaking. Now I'll give you a little backstory. My buddy, his name is Dom, but he goes by the Shoe Surgeon. He's out of L.A., but he's originally from upstate New York. Not from the Rochester area, but more for like the Albany area. But I knew him just from the circles we were in, and he'd been bugging me for years to give him a tattoo. And was actually talking to him online, just complaining that we couldn't tattoo. And he said, you should take my course. He almost does like a master class in how to make custom shoes. And when I say make them, I mean like taking a pattern of an Air Jordan 1, cutting it out, sewing them together, building a shoe from total, you know, from the ground up. They call it reconstruction. And I took his course. I made a pair of Wolverines, the version 1s, and they like people were just loving them, and I just kind of the next one I did was the Ninja Turtle ones, and those just blew up. And people were like, "I want these." And every time I made something new, everybody was like, "Oh, I'd love to order a pair." And then it just kind of kept snowballing and getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And originally it was I was making all the shoes myself, and then eventually it just got to be too big, so I ended up having to work with some factories in China. And now we have 4 factories in China we work with.
Oh my gosh.
We have factories in Pakistan. We just have a whole team now. I have 5 employees that work in my offices with me, and
jeez, Tom,
it's just
this is great.
so technically, spoiler alert, I'm retired from tattooing. I'm holding up air quotes, retired from tattooing, but I will do it from time to time. So say we want some Achilles birds or something, we can definitely make that happen. But
September,
it's cool. It's cool to say at age at the time age 42 or whatever that I retired from my main job, and now I'm on to the next thing.
For if you're wondering, at minute 12 into the second half of this show, wait, they're talking about tattoos. Like, this is a Disney podcast. This guy, trust me, man, this guy's designs definitely lean heavy into Disney pop culture-ish stuff. In fact, there's some pretty amazing Steamboat Willie stuff that he's done. So I just gotta say, I love your artwork, and I loved your tattoos, like when you were on Ink Master. But I think your shoes are just amazing. The stuff you're releasing right now, or you're I think pre-ordering right now, right, for was it
Return of the Living Dead?
Yeah, Return of the Living Dead. Yeah.
Tarman,
oh, okay.
Yeah, Tarman, and the sneaker heads, and like all these, like, it's just, I don't know, man. There's some really cool stuff, and I think it really does. There's a really tight tie with pop culture and Disney and all those things. So it's I'm really excited to have you on the show, and it's gonna be cool because we're gonna be kind of answering some questions you have for us, which is weird because I know I've got a billion questions for you. So
yeah, I mean, Rob, did you get the package I sent you? Did you get that already?
Well, this is an audio medium, not a video. Maybe we can use
we're
part
gonna
of
do.
this
We're gonna. We've already got a plan for some cool unboxing reels that he's gonna do. But yes, he definitely got them. He showed them to me. Those are so good.
Well, we're going back.
If we have some more extra, Nick, if we have in your size, I'm going to try to send you a pair too. It's just
awesome,
they were coming in sparingly, so.
Awesome, since
They're
people
beautiful.
are listening and going, what are they looking at? Tom, you're probably the best person to describe this since you are the artist. Do you want to just kind of explain, not in every detail and what's on it, but tell people what I'm holding in my hand? It's a Nike shoe, but it's not a Nike.
Custom Air Jordan 1 silhouette, and it's themed after, which is now public domain, is why we did it, Steamboat Willie, which is the first Mickey Mouse and Minnie Mouse movie that came out. And the shoes are all black and gray. You got Steamboat Willie on the swoosh there. You got all the cool ink splats and everything from him being painted. You got like the toe is all like the wood from the ship. I think my favorite part is the strap going across. It has the actual animation cells from the movie, which is really fun. It says Mickey Mouse. You obviously have Steamboat Willie on the Bel-Air's logo that's on the tongue. I did all these little hand-drawn redrawing of the Mickey, Minnie, and Pete and everything on the lining, which is really fun. I think my favorite part is in the very back, which is Rob is showing, is you have the old drawing tables that Walt and the old men, what do they call them? There was a term that used to call like the 12 or whatever they were.
The 12. But the name for the animators.
It was like the old 12 or
I should know this.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about, though, right?
I do.
Yeah, Rob will edit. Rob's going to edit himself in. Sounding really, really smart right there.
No, I don't. It sounds stupid all the time.
And the cool part is if you look on the toe, Rob, did you see what it says across the toe in the black, very subtly?
Yeah, I did the other day when he was showing them to me. Yeah,
a
that's
Walt
so cool.
Disney comic by Iwerks.
Yeah, that's so cool.
That's a deep cut.
Yeah, a couple people who I showed said UB. I said no, it's Ub Iwerks. He's part of the. He was one of the ones that made the cartoon with Walt.
I mean, he's really the one that drew it and did all the legwork.
Yep.
Yeah. So, but yeah, they're super fun shoes. We have the low top ones that I actually like even more. I'm a low top guy, so I rock those a lot harder. But those ones are really fun too because they actually have the color of his like shorts with the red and the buttons and stuff, which are really fun.
Now I've been going back and forth whether or not I'm gonna wear them. Period. And if I'm going to wear them, will I wear them for part of the day at Disney? But
I'm gonna say the joke is always yes. You should not wear
you beat
any
me to
kind of air anything.
Because what happened last time, Nick? Because you love picking on me about this one.
They were bloodied up, and you had to throw on a pair of brand new Vans because you had a very similar pair of Air Jordans, were they Air Force Ones? What did you have? I forget.
They were Jordan 5s, which are kind of a mid, and they're not great for walking the entire day in.
So Air Jordan 1s, they have not changed the pattern since 1985 or whatever it was. So they are not made for comfort. I will say, not to plug our own shoes, but our own, we call them Longhorns, which are the high tops and the short horns. We actually wear tested them for a year. There's actually underneath your heel, there's like a little air pocket that we have under there, and then there's like an extra heel padding. So we've made our shoes more comfortable for the people that are convention people and that are going to be walking around, and we've got nothing but compliments for that type of stuff. But we want to stay true to the original Air Jordan 1 silhouette, and the sucky part about that is they are not comfortable for long days, standing on your feet.
They look great.
Well, let's get into licensing, because I know, at least from either talking to you or I read online, that recently you've acquired licenses for certain things like, oh my gosh, what's the monster toy on the box?
My Pet Monster?
Yeah, because I remember, I think you told me this, that you're working with a company now that owns a giant amount of licenses.
Yeah, I mean, we have a handful that we're working with now. One's Nacelle. Nacelle owns Biker Mice from Mars, Sectors, RoboForce. There's a bunch, but those ones are really big because Biker Mice from Mars is in a partnership with Ryan Reynolds. He's the producer on it, so we've gotten to collaborate with him on that, which is going to be soon. And then RoboForce is another one, and that is their producer on that is The Rock, Dwayne Johnson. So we're going to be partnering up with him and getting him shoes, which is really cool.
Awesome.
We've got a ton of licensing. I mean, I think we have at least 10 that we haven't even announced yet. So it's pretty fun.
We got to pause.
So those are two individuals who are actually pretty well connected to Disney, actually. So that's kind of fun.
Yeah. Nacelle, the Disney show, the Behind the Rides or Behind the Attraction.
Yes.
Nacelle actually is also a TV show like production company, and they did those TV shows.
Wow,
that's actually how they got
my
hooked up. Yeah, that's how they did the Toys That Made Us and Behind the Movies, or the Movies That Made Us, or whatever. They've done all that stuff, so like they know everybody, which is really, really cool.
Do you want to talk more about the business, or you want to translate a little bit more into talking about the parks and everything?
Yeah, I mean, let's get to the parks. Let's get to the fun stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna start. I don't know. Maybe I do this again. I don't know. Do we need a visual cue to start?
No, okay. I've got it. You can just point to me, and I'll say, I'm in the parks right now. I'll talk about being in the parks right now, and I'll ask Thom if he had any questions, because I know he's never been. We'll do something like that, and I can figure out a way to do a good edit transition on it.
Nope, go for it now. Ask him the question, starting now.
All right. Well, since I am in the parks right now, and I know that Thom, you've never been, I'm wondering what kinds of. I mean, you're here to ask us some questions, right?
Well, the funny thing is I've actually so this is how crazy my life is. I've been to Disney World twice, and I only say I've been to Disney World twice. I've literally been outside the gates twice, and then I've been to Disneyland, same thing, twice. So like, one time for each one of those, Disney World and Disneyland, I was on tour and we were just outside the gates. Like, we didn't have time. We couldn't go in. So I was like, oh my God, we're so close to Disneyland. But we got to keep going. And then the other two times, when I used to tattoo for LucasArts, I would tattoo at the Star Wars Celebration shows.
Oh, okay.
And one was just outside of Disney World in Orlando, and one was just outside of Disneyland in wherever they have
Anaheim.
Anaheim.
Yep.
So, and especially the Anaheim one, I remember when the convention was over, we had a few more extra days, and with everybody, we rented out an Airbnb. And the last day, everybody was going to Disneyland, and they were going to have a hurrah and have some fun. I called my wife, and I was like, hey, everybody's going to Disney World. She's like, let me stop you right there. If you go to Disney World without us, we're going to...
Oh, boy.
And I'm like, oh, okay. So, yeah, she's like, if you go there without us, I'm going to kill you. And I'm like, okay. So literally, I'm at home, like back at the Airbnb watching TV while everybody else is sending me pictures of like, we're having such a good time, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, damn you.
Well, you're a good husband.
Yeah. So now I've patiently been waiting, 12 plus years to take the kids down there. And, I mean, what do I need to know as, a first time Disney fan coming down there, but also like a father of three. And my kids are 13, 10, and 8. And I will preface that my son is on the spectrum. So he has a lot of, sensory issues and things like that. So like, what is something you would tell you coming into the first time to help you out?
Nick, why don't you start, and then I can get into the nitty gritty with the DAS system.
Yeah. So for me, what I would say first off is I'm like literally in that range. So I have a 12-year-old and a 9-year-old. So like that same age range there. I think the thing to know is like some of the stuff that you think your 12 or your 13-year-old is not going to like, they are going to love. And it's kind of cool to see like a kid who you're like, okay, you're a teen, you're not supposed to like that. Or you're 9 or you're 8, you're 10, you're not supposed to like that still. But that first time seeing those things. And so don't assume they won't like something and then avoid it. Because like just today we had some stuff where it was like my daughter, who I thought was kind of over the whole meet and greet with princesses, saw Pocahontas and was like, I got to meet Pocahontas. Give me my autograph book, stuff like that. Yeah. So you're going to be shocked with those things. The other thing I would say is don't like if you really want to do a ride and one of your kids doesn't, I would say this is a big one here. Use the rider swap. Don't guilt the kid into going on the ride. Like I see so many parents make this mistake. Yeah. It just ends so poorly. And the kid has a meltdown or whatever. And it's just way easier just to like use the rider swap. Cause like not every kid's going to want to do it. And I want to say before Rob gets into the DAS stuff, that neurodivergent, Disney's really good with neurodivergent individuals. And yes, it's going to be difficult with sensory issues at times, but for the most part, they know that is something that they want to be a welcoming place for all. And so like, I mean, I'm sitting in a room right now where I'm by myself and it's a really cool, relaxing place in a very busy lobby. And that alone is something where they've done and said, okay, let's make this place welcoming to everybody, so it's not chaos around everybody all the time.
Yeah,
but I know that like they've definitely made some changes recently with the new DAS system, and Rob's got those pulled up. So
the DAS system is the Disability Access Service, and that is for people who have either are on the autism spectrum or a similar condition. Like my niece, for example, has a traumatic brain injury. That would be something similar to that. Previously, as of a couple months ago, the service was a little bit different, and they would grant the disability service to a wider range of people with disabilities, whether they actually have them or part of the problem was there were people that were posing in having a disability, but they actually didn't.
We've heard that. Yeah.
So Disney's made a change for the better, as far as we know so far. And what they're doing is something similar to what they did before. But I brought up the screen to kind of let you know how this works. So the first thing is, as soon as 30 days before your park visit, you can actually speak with a cast member. And what you do is you can meet with them and explain the disability of your child. And what ends up happening, here's the big picture, so I don't give every detail under the sun here. What happens is you will show up to a ride when you get to the park after you have your meeting with this person and they say, yes, you qualify for this service. You'll show up at a ride. Let's say it's Jungle Cruise, okay? You get to the Jungle Cruise and you look at the sign and the sign says 30-minute wait, okay? So you go up and you check in with a person and you say, you let them know that you have they call it the DAS pass. And they say, okay, great. It's a 30-minute wait. We'll see you in 30 minutes. And you don't have to stand in that line, and you can take your child over to get an ice cream or to walk around and do something else during that time period, because you would still, just like any other guest, you still have to wait for the ride, but you don't have to stand in that queue if your child has some kind of...
his biggest... Yeah, his hardest part is... He's very impatient, and if he had to wait in line, it's a nightmare. Yep. You know, he can't do it at other places. Here it's going to be 10 times as bad. So that's awesome to hear.
Yep. So that's kind of how that works, and there's other things too where they have the service called the Lightning Lane, which used to be called Genie Plus. It's had so many different names, and you can pay extra to skip the lines, or you can buy a pass to get on an individual ride. Like if you want to ride Tron, you can pay individually to ride Tron and just show up and basically get right on. Right, Nick? If you have a single Lightning Lane pass, it's generally pretty quick that you get on the ride.
Yeah. Right? Today I did it with Flight of Passage, and it was a walk on essentially. I do want to add with the DAS pass. So Rob had mentioned people were faking, and they've made it better. What people were generally using as a fake there were literal tutorials on YouTube out there of how to get a DAS pass for like irritable bowel syndrome and stuff like that. And so there are people who legitimately have issues that they can't be, they couldn't be waiting in an hour and a half line.
Yeah, I totally get that.
And unfortunately, those people sometimes are getting missed by this DAS pass. I think that they're going to see the problem is they can't ask for, or they can, but it's problematic to ask for, show me paperwork, right?
Yeah, and so we heard that too, and we're ready. Like we have certifications in New York State that he is on the spectrum at a certain level. We're ready to show that.
And so what's happened is some people who were maybe gaming the system before feel like, well, no, I really do have these issues, but they don't necessarily. They're just, impatient.
Hamming it up.
Yeah, hamming it up, exactly. But then there are people who are missed out on this DAS. So it is better for the most part. I will add, today, every line we went in went so much faster, and people are attributing that to the fact that the people who were abusing the DAS pass are no longer in that line. Something like 70% of the people who were using DAS pass supposedly were also, sorry, there's a lot of noise in the lobby right now.
Fine.
But the people who are using the DAS pass, something like 70% of them, they believe were actually abusing it. And that came from, now I heard that number from a different podcast, but I also heard that, or I know that podcast got it from a Disney official.
Wow.
All right, I got a crazy one for you. Ready? Okay, you have to give me your 3 favorite Disney characters, Tom. Your 3 favorite. Take a minute to think about it. Who are your 3 favorite? This could be Pixar character. This could be someone from a classic Disney movie. Take a minute to think about it, because we are the show of lists. So I figured I'll give you 3. You got to come up with them quick. If you want to give me your top 5, you can do it. But I'm throwing you a bone and giving you 3 here, because we are a show of lists, and I want to hear. Give me 3, 2, and 1. Give me your 3 Disney characters here.
Yeah. Let's see. I really liked Basil. I think that's his name, right? From the Great Mouse Detective. So I would say that would be my number 3. I liked him a lot. I'm a huge Muppets fan, so they're owned by Disney, so I like Gonzo would be my number 2.
Good choice.
And then number 1 is Gizmo Duck. I love Gizmo
Wow.
Duck and DuckTales. So yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah.
Those are some deep cuts.
I love it.
I did not expect to hear Gizmo.
So again, I've never been to Disney World, but I've seen all the pictures and stuff of Figment. And I think Figment looks really cool too. Like I don't know the history of him, whatever, but he's a great looking character. So that's awesome.
We love us some Figment at the Diz list.
Yeah, Figment is the dragon from the Imagination ride, which used to be sponsored by Kodak, another Rochester company, for the Rochester guy in the podcast here. And it started off as a really cool ride that was really focused on just kind of, it was almost kind of like like an acid trip for so hopefully kids listening won't know what that means.
That's what I heard.
And then the current version of it is a little less popular. It's with Eric Idle, and it kind of talks about your senses, and I enjoy it. Most people really hate it, but I think for me it's kind of a nostalgia thing. But Figment has really become one of, and I would say the Orange Bird has also become this, is sort of a icon for Epcot, that park in general. So if you were to go into like their main merchandise area, you would see the majority of the stuff would have Figment on it. I mean, such a great character. They did Marvel did a line of Figment comics for a while. They went back and forth on doing a Figment movie a couple times. I'm not sure whether or not it's greenlit or it's going to happen or not.
I heard
Seth Rogen, I think, was doing it.
Really. Just because of Steamboat Willie and everything, now everything's getting in public domain. I heard that they're really trying to pivot to a new mascot. Maybe Figment is that person, but I've heard that they're trying to push one of their other IPs that is going to not be in public domain so fast. Because now every year, I think Donald Duck goes in next year, and every year onward, it's more and more. They go in public domain. So
it's crazy to think about. That's wild. 100 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm gonna switch the gears away from a list and then and go back to the question you might have. So the only thing I would say or ask you is, you asked about like what we would do if we could go back in time and tell our younger us going with our kids for the first time what to do different. What are you looking for in a park? Like in a Disney World vacation, what are you looking for? That would maybe help us give you some pointers.
Yeah. I mean, not being there, like, is each park a day in itself? Like, how do you divide that up? What do you think the perfect, number of how long you stay in each park is? Because I have no idea if that you could do all 5 parks in one day. Is that an impossible task? I have no idea.
Rob, you wanna take some of this, or you wanna?
So
okay.
there's 4 main parks at Walt Disney World. You have Magic Kingdom, Epcot, Animal Kingdom, and Hollywood Studios, or as I like to call it, MGM Studios. That's what it used to be. There's 2 water parks. I don't know if your family is into that, so you can count the 2 water parks if you want as well. My opinion. Let's leave the water parks aside and let's look at the 4 main parks. I think, especially with your kids at the ages they are, I would have 2 days at Magic Kingdom because there's so much to do. And there's a lot of great shows. And knowing that you have a child on the spectrum, it's probably good to build in some breaks and some rest time.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So maybe you go back to your hotel. Maybe you even want to stay at one of the resorts on the monorail that is very close to the park, so you can go back and forth. That might be helpful. That's something that Nick knows a lot about because he does that a lot.
Nice.
We've, as a family, we've kind of stayed all over the place, and now we're kind of off property, but I don't want to get off on the tangent. So probably two days at the Magic Kingdom. Epcot, you could probably do in a day. Animal Kingdom, some people will say that's a half-day park because there's some things that are closed right now, but it there's so much that people miss because everyone thinks it's just rides. There's amazing shows. You walk around and they don't want to call it a zoo, but there's these beautiful nature trails where you can look at tigers and gorillas. And then here's the part that I think you're going to like the best, because I know you're an artist just like I am. There's a place where you can take this train off to this quiet little area where you see Rafiki from The Lion King, and they have a Disney animator that will sit down and they will teach you how to draw a Disney character.
What?
In a big group.
Dude, that's
sick.
Sick.
Nick's done it. So, Nick can draw. He's not considered himself an artist like the two of us, but
no.
Nick, you explain it from the math guy's perspective. Tell him what it's like.
So, I mean, they literally give you basically whatever the character is you're drawing that day. They've got the character, like the foundation lines already sketched in for you. And then from there, they'll use what they use for their key points. They'll use those as your landmarks and tell you how to make this swoop go out about 3/4 of the way to this thing and come back here. And so it's like a directed draw on YouTube, very similar kind of idea to that. And I do want to agree 100% with Rob's assessment. 2 days at Magic Kingdom. I think 1 day at Epcot is probably enough for your situation, especially because you're not looking to do festivals and stuff like that. Animal Kingdom, I want to throw out there that he kind of hinted at it, that people will say it's a 1 day park. I think if you're going to pick the park that's the best for anyone who's a little bit neurodivergent and maybe has some sensory issues, or especially somebody who's, like you said, waiting in line and patience is an issue, 100%, I think that Animal Kingdom is going to be a park you'll gravitate to, because the trails, there's no wait. You're walking and you're seeing animals, and there's no waiting around. And so to me, that might be something that your family might even gravitate to more so than Epcot or Hollywood Studios. And that might become the number 2 park. I think by far Magic Kingdom is going to be the number 1 park, and you got to do that for 2 days. But I think Rob's spot on that Epcot's, probably can be 1 day, and Animal Kingdom is 1 or 2.
Now, the grand finale, and I waited for this one to be last on purpose for Thom. Knowing Thom the way I do, I know that Thom is a giant Star Wars fan. So, there's a lot that I really like about Galaxy's Edge at Hollywood Studios, and there's some that I don't like about it. I think overall, I think it's a really cool place. But being a Star Wars fan, and Nick is too. Nick's a Star Wars guy also. But we can get very critical. But I will say that you will just dig it. You will love the fact that there's an entire land dedicated to Star Wars. Characters walking around. You see Chewie. You see Kylo Ren. You see the stormtroopers. But not only that, but you walk 100 yards and you're in Toy Story Land. And that is probably the most visually stunning area that I think. I mean, it depends on your kid. It could be too much, and the lights and the colors are too much, or your kids would really feel like they were in, or they've been shrunk down and they're part of
that's awesome.
Becoming a toy. So I think that would be kind of interesting too, to really see. I mean, your kids, would they enjoy something like that or not?
Oh, I think they'd love the Pixar one more, Toy Story more than probably Star Wars. I'm like the dad that's been trying to get my kids to love and worship Star Wars like me, and they're like, they know who Darth Vader is, but they don't watch it like I religiously watched all the original trilogy every weekend, and they're not like that. So Pixar and any of that stuff, they would go head over heels for, which is going to be amazing. So then, but I like.
Yeah, definitely. I was just going to say, so then definitely Hollywood Studios is going to be a park for your family.
Yeah. But I'm the guy that I want to know the end of the books. So I've watched all the walkthroughs and everything for Galaxy's Edge. Like I go on and I've actually ordered stuff out of the trading post that they have there, a couple things that they sell online. So like I even when it first opened, I got the Pepsi, the grenade, like the thermal detonators,
yes.
like the Pepsi and the Sprite bottles.
Yep,
I had friends mail me those. Like it's just so freaking cool. I mean, to go on the Millennium Falcon, and it actually feels like you're on there. From what I'm told, it's just a dream come true.
Yeah.
Well, that's our favorite part of the ride.
Yeah, exactly. That the best part of that ride is sitting down at the chess table and being like, "Oh my gosh, I'm sitting at the chess table. Where's Chewie?"
Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah, I
All
think
right, so
honestly too, the other thing I would say is Hollywood Studios, um, like that part of Hollywood Studios, very much is like almost like your sneakers, where it's a nod to Star Wars, right? But it's not going. They're not giving you, you're not getting Return of the Jedi. You're not getting A New Hope. You're getting this whole new other thing that's it's Star Wars, and you know it's Star Wars, but it's not anything you've seen before. Very similar to like some of the shoes you do, and
mm-hmm.
It's kind of a cool tie-in, I think, about the fact that he will love that land. So
yeah, that's awesome.
last question. Last question dealing with the parks. Now, would you drive down or would you fly? How did your family do with that? That's something you're going to want to think about. Have you been in a plane before?
Yeah, so we would fly. So every summer we go down to Oak Island, and I think it's like right on the border of North Carolina and South Carolina. But we used to drive down for the last 4 years to we usually rent like a little beach house and hang out there for a couple of weeks. The last couple of years, the drive has really killed us because the kids are just every 5 minutes, are we there yet? And they're just looking at the GPS. So this year we're actually surprising everybody. We're going to be flying down. So hopefully, if that goes well, all our future plans are going to be flying down because I don't think mentally I could take a long drive to Florida. And I've driven to Florida like you, Rob. I've toured a lot, and the drive to Florida sucks.
Yeah.
So I don't want to do it again.
Yeah, I've done it too. I actually had a flight canceled and last minute was like, screw it. I'm not waiting around until Friday. 2 days from now, I'm going to rent a van and drive home. I hadn't planned on it. It was like 6 p.m. I beat my bags back to Buffalo. I was like, forget it, man.
I think you guys talked about that on the podcast, right?
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure I heard that one. Yeah.
Definitely.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it definitely is.
All right, so we can wrap up here. I want to see if Thom has any last questions for us, or does go for it.
Yeah, I mean, with my son and my daughter, they have celiacs, and then some other, they can't have dairy and stuff like that. Like, how are the restaurants, with dealing with people with those kind of dietary restrictions? Are they very strict? Are they,
Rob, you want me to take this one, right?
Nick is smiling because I'm the pro with this one.
Rob, should I take this one? Should I take this one?
I got
Rob?
this one. I got it. Okay,
I guess I got it.
Thom, my wife Mandy, who you've met my wife before, and son and daughter, they all have celiac disease also. So one of the reasons we keep going back to Disney time and time again is we have. They have been sick a total of 0 times, and we have 0 cross-contamination. Wow. Anywhere on property, when we walk up to the front of the line, we say to the person that we're ordering to, or whichever person, we say, "Hi there, we have celiac disease, and we're looking for your gluten-free options." What they do every single time is they say, "Oh, we're going to go get the chef for you." So they go in the back. The actual chef comes out and talks to us and says, "Oh, hello. What is your allergy?" And we say, "Oh, well, our party has celiac disease." "Oh, great. Well, we have this, and this, or we can make this dish and we can make it this way so that it's gluten-free." And I will tell you, Thom, that when we started going, I think my son was very, very young. I can't even tell you exactly what age, but I mean, we have gone every single year and we have had no issues ever. So I can't guarantee it because I don't work there, but I will tell you from my experience and my family having celiac disease, and I think my son and I just counted this August will be our 10th time that we've gone to Disney, including Disneyland once. This will be our 10th time, and we have never had an issue. So So basically, any restaurant you're going there, they're all fast food. That's like you go to the a fast food counter service burger place. Say, "Hey, we have celiac disease." Out comes the chef every single time.
Wow, that's amazing.
They will, they'll be honest with you too. If they can't do something, if they're like, yeah, like Via Napoli's a pizza place, and so like they don't have a published allergy menu. So if you went up to them and said, hey, I was wondering, like what do we do here? They might say, the best bet is to not eat here. Or they might say, hey, we've got some really good gluten-free pasta.
Yep.
Yeah, that's amazing because I'm sure Rob, you know, like we dictate like when we're on just trips and stuff around here. It's like we have to call ahead, we have to go online, try to find out who's got the gluten-free menus, and it's not easy. It's not fun. I've been saying to years for my wife, like the first fast food restaurant that comes out with a vegan or a all gluten-free like menu is gonna kill it because like there's so many of us out here and like it dictates like where we go every freaking day. So
us too.
That relief must be super nice down there.
It's why we keep going back.
Awesome.
And so many times people are like, you're nuts. Why do you keep going back to Disney? Well, two reasons. One is the food, and my family feels safe eating with our dietary restrictions. And two, I mean, I've been going since I was a kid, and it literally is, the most magical place on earth. That's what they call it. And I'll tell you, once you go and you just walk in and you walk through that tunnel and turn the corner and see that castle, it's like nothing you've experienced. And I know Nick would agree with me too.
You're a kid again.
It's crazy.
Yeah. One more thing about dining, because I saw it happen today multiple times. Just know, especially as a first-time person, you got to plan ahead and have reservations for any kind of sit-down place, because I saw multiple people try to get in at Yak and Yeti today. And they're like, oh, it'll be a 2-hour wait if you want to do the walk-up. They're like, 2 hours? And it's like, yeah, everybody else here has booked 60 days ago.
Yeah.
So just know that that's kind of a thing. And reach out to us if you need help when that time comes, too. We love helping people with that stuff.
The other thing that just kind of scares me too is, you always hear about like, I mean, when you're going to the rides in the park and stuff like that, I mean, in the morning, like, what is this like? You got to get up at like 6:00 and get all your, reservations or whatever. Is that a normal thing? Is that just like, or, can you just, obviously if you just walk up to a ride, it's going to tell you if it's a 2-hour wait or whatever,
Go for it, Nick. You're in it right now.
Yeah, I would say, while yes, that is certainly a thing you can do. You can rope drop, and you can do it. You can do it really quickly, and get a lot of stuff done. There are ways to go in the middle of the day and still enjoy yourself. I flew in from Buffalo today. I landed at 8:45. Didn't get to the park until like 11:30 today. Did half of Animal Kingdom. Easily could have done the whole thing if I really wanted to. We were just like, hey, let's just go back and look at our Savannah view. So you can do it. There's a lot of really good videos. Our friend Ear Scouts, Rob and Eric, they do a really good job of explaining stuff about how to do that. So you don't have to get up at, the crack of dawn.
Good. That's good to know, because that always kind of was like, should I be doing this? Should I not be doing this? I do have a question for you guys. Is like, you guys are obviously veterans at this point. What are a few things that kind of maybe do annoy you sometimes? I always hear about, the Disney adults. I don't know what they call them. There's a name for them, but like, do some of those people annoy you? Like, what are some of your annoyances you might find from time to time? Just so I'm aware of it.
Gosh, I don't know if I even have too many of annoyances.
I have. No, the only big annoyance I have is people who are rude, right?
Yeah.
So like those people today, I would say seven people came up and try to get a table, and were told, sorry, it's a 2-hour wait. 6 of those people walked away. Oh, okay, thank you, I understand. And one of them just was like a total jerk about it. And it's like that cast member is making minimum wage. They're wearing a little red tag that says "earning my ears." They're on their college program. Like, so that's my big annoyance. Is like, just go with the flow, have fun. Everybody's gonna have a breakdown. You're gonna get mad. You're gonna be grumpy at some point. It is what it is. But like, it's how you treat the cast members. That's the only thing I would say is my annoyance, right, Rob?
Yeah, and to piggyback off that, and this isn't an annoyance, it's just a tip. Is I always tell people it can be a very, very long day, and there's been numerous times I've done trips with our family where we all get a little irritable around 4:00. And we all start snapping at each other. We get along really well, and it just kind of happens. So my advice that I give to everybody, and Tom, Brian Allerton, I just told him this story. Brian just went, and I said to Brian, I go, take a break in the middle of the day. You know, I mean, I know people are always thinking, well, we paid so much for these tickets. Why are we going to take a break in the middle of the day? Just to like reset, especially for people with neurodivergence. You need a little bit of quiet.
Yeah.
And you need to reset a little bit. Then head back over to the park and you feel so much better. And it's just going to be, because we used to, and I've said this on the podcast before, when we first started going, I wanted every penny and I wanted every minute. So we went hard and we marathoned with young kids, and they would get grumpy. And then eventually we figured out, maybe we need a break. And you know what? Even if you don't leave the park, find a quiet spot or go sit in one of the shows like Hall of Presidents and just chill in the air conditioning. Or go see, we always say Great Big Beautiful Tomorrow. That's actually from one of the shows called Carousel of Progress in the park. And you just sit and watch that. That's like, how long is that show? It's like a half-hour show. You could sit in there and just chill. And if your kid takes a nap, your kid takes a nap. And, or
Nice.
sit in the back row and, have them just, quietly go on a phone. I mean, maybe some people hate that, but I don't know, whatever works. You know what I mean? So...
No, I like the idea of that, because it's like, why are you going to force your kids to like be miserable for a couple hours when you can go back and reset for an hour and then you get 5 good hours out of them afterwards.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So it totally makes sense.
Yeah.
I love it.
Well, this is flipped. It's turned into Thom Bulman is interviewing Rob and Nick. This is great. This is kind of cool.
No, this is great. This is a great one. It's a good collaboration.
It is. This is
Yeah,
cool.
there we go.
We're gonna. Rob, do you want to start wrapping up though, so we can maybe kind of keep this under a 2-hour episode?
Yeah.
Or?
Well, no. I think we're doing pretty good. We're right around the time where we normally are. I know you're kidding.
I was joking.
But what I want to finish with is just doing a couple plugs here for Thom, for the people that are listening. I think the first thing I request, what I would like our listeners to do, is take a minute and go to bullairs.com, bullairs.com, and take a look at what Thom has been doing. And just look at, it'll take you a long time to look through all the different things. It's not just shoes.
There's a few.
Because now you've branched out and you do like the Hey Dude style shoes. You do, what are the other ones that you do? I know there's a third shoe style that you do now too.
We have the Longhorn, the Shorthorn,
Air Max.
We call them steers. Yeah. Yep. Our Air Mags, which is a tribute to Back to the Future, which is really great. We also have some new slip-on, kind of like Crocs type style coming out soon too. And as you've seen, we have vinyl toys now. We have our sneakerheads, which are homage to the Madball style of toys. Like we're just doing. I pretty much am at like Willy Wonka and the Candy Factory, and I'm just kind of making my dream stuff. So, it seems like everybody's digging it. So I couldn't be more blessed.
And if you need to binge something and you have the Paramount Network, go ahead and check out Thom on Ink Master season 9. No, 9.
Season
right?
9.
Okay.
You can season 9, and you can also watch. I was on season 1 of Grudge Match, which was like an offshoot, and I'm on the last. I think it's episode 12 of that, where it's me and a guy from my season go head to head for a full episode.
Cool.
So that was fun too.
That's cool too.
Don't forget to follow him on Instagram.
Yes, you want to
Bull _airs _official.
Cool. Let's see. I think that's pretty much everything for Thom, Nick. Anything? How can people follow us online on Instagram?
We're at DizlessPod everywhere, no matter what social media you're going to go to. And of course, you can go to patreon.com/DizlessPod. Follow us for free. Right now, I'm in Disney, so I'm actually posting some Patreon exclusive, even for the free members. So that's another place to find.
Cool. All right, so we're gonna wrap up our show, and we're gonna give Thom a line here for the end. You're gonna have my line.
Yeah.
It's a great, big, beautiful tomorrow, and tomorrow is just a list away.
Tune in next time, and we'll see you real soon.